Tip number 1: practice careful optimism. Having a positive mind and positive outlook are crucial to being successful in business. It is optimism that drives entrepreneurs to move forward. But there is danger in sheer and pure optimism. Excessive optimism can make one overlook risks and potential pitfalls. This is what you need to avoid. So while approaching business with an optimistic mindset, you also have to acknowledge that there are dangers and risks that you must exercise carefulness. Tip number 2: healthy pessimism. People will tell you that negative thinking will not get you anywhere. And yes, pessimism does breed fear, and that fear can stop you from taking the necessary steps in order to be successful. But there is use in having a little bit of healthy pessimism. Having healthy pessimism means that you are pessimistic enough so as to recognize the pitfalls and risks involved in your venture. However, you are not pessimistic enough so as to allow those insights to stop you. Instead, you are driven to come up with solutions to every risks and difficulties that you encounter. Tip number 3: find motivation. It is good to have the ideas and the opportunities. But even if these things are present, nothing will come into fruition if you do not take action. And to take action, it is necessary that you have the motivation to do so. Motivation may be different from one entrepreneur to another. Find your own motivation to success. Tip number 4: have vision, mission, goal. Every business must have one. You can typically see a company's vision, mission, goal posted on the hallways of its building or on the main page of its website. In a physical setting, the vision, mission, goal is typically framed beautifully, which signifies how much it is valued. The vision describes a company's ideals. The mission describes a company's desired contribution to the society, to its employees, and to others. The goal describes a company's desired self-growth in the future. Tip number 5: believe in what you do. Some people may not believe in your venture. But what is important is that you believe in it. If you yourself are not convinced in what you are trying to achieve, it is highly likely that you will not achieve it. This is why it is important that you enter into a business venture that you believe in or have faith in. Tip number 6: start in your field of interest. Motivation is easier to find if you are working in your field of interest. So when coming up with a business idea, it is a good start to consider the things that you are personally interested with. Tip number 7: work in your field of qualification. Interest and passion should not be your only basis. You also have to ask yourself, do you have the qualifications to do business in that area? If you are planning to open an auto supply shop, for example, you may ask yourself, do I know enough about cars? Do I have a vast knowledge on car parts and how they work? Of course, you can always hire people who are knowledgeable in the field. But it is better if you also have some know-how. Tip number 8: work on a field where resources are available. The continuity of a business is also partly dependent on the availability of resources. Resources may include suppliers, service providers, utilities, and such. Tip number 9: work on a field where talents are available. In a business, you are not the only person who will be involved. Certainly, you will hire some employees that will help you. In some businesses, however, it is necessary that you find people of unique talents, expertise, degree. Tip number 10: do business that people will go for. Businesses are organized for profit. In order to profit, you will have to offer something in return. But you must offer something that the people in your area will be willing to pay for. Tip number 11: do a market research. So what business should you go for? Well, it is not always easy to tell. If those prospects are obvious, a lot of people would have taken advantage of the opportunity already. So how do you find the right opportunities? Sometimes, opportunities do not just present themselves. In some instances, you may have to go looking for them. This is what a market research is made for. Tip number 12: run a survey. Do you want to know what services, products the people in your area are willing to avail, buy? Well, why not ask them directly? This is the power of survey. Tip number 13: look for products, services that are in demand. Products and services that will surely sell are those that are in demand. Demand refers to the need of the people. Tip number 14: take advantage of untapped markets. Sometimes, the demand is there but the supply is not. This means that the people in your place are in need of something but there are no or there are very few suppliers of that something. This situation poses a clear opportunity that you can take advantage of. Tip number 15: study the culture in the place. Opportunities may be unique from one place to another. One of the factors is the differences in culture. The unique culture of a place influences the business opportunities present there. Tip number 16: identify the purchasing power of the people. It is not always about interest. People may be interested in a certain product and/or service, but they may not have the purchasing power to pay for it. So when coming with a business idea, you have to consider the purchasing power of the people in the area. Tip number 17: analyze the buying behavior of the people. It is not always about the purchasing power. Many people develop a buying behavior, and this is something that you have to analyze as well. You need to analyze unique buying behaviors such as this one in order to assess the feasibility of your prospect business. Tip number 18: analyze the behavior of the people towards brand names. In some places, people may have the purchasing power to buy branded products and signature brands but are not willing to spend on them. On the other hand, there are also places wherein people are strictly brand conscious and will hardly spend on anything other than branded and signature products. Tip number 19: look for markets that have high demand and low supply. Where there is high demand but low supply, there is a business opportunity. Say for example that in one place the demand for school supplies is high. But because of the remoteness of the place, the supply is very low. If you manage to find ways on how to bring school supplies to that place, that is like supplying where the supply is low and the demand is high. Tip number 20: grab opportunities as soon as possible. If you are really serious about grabbing an opportunity, it is advisable that you do so right away. This is because you want to avoid having other entrepreneurs grab the opportunity that you saw. Tip number 21: do research on what problems similar businesses faced. No matter how unique your business idea is, it is highly likely that another entrepreneur in another place already tried the same business venture. You can observe the difficulties that they faced. Tip number 22: think of possible reasons for your business to fail. This requires some wild but realistic imagination. Think of possible reasons, possible events, and possible circumstances which might cause your business to suffer or fail. If you are opening a shipping company, for example, possible risks may include the following: fluctuations in gasoline prices, frequency of natural calamities in the area that might affect shipping, scarcity of competent delivery truck drivers, dishonesty amongst employees, and other similar reasons. Tip number 23: formulate possible solutions, preventive measures to possible risks. Enumerating possible difficulties that you might face is only the first step. Next, you have to think of ways on how to counter them should any of them happen. You need to be ready for all the possible situations. This is part of the so-called risk management, which many companies invest a lot of effort into. Tip number 24: get a business advisor. It might not be necessary in all cases. Smaller businesses, for instance, may have no need of one. But for bigger businesses that deal with complex markets and industries, you might just need an advisor, someone who is knowledgeable in the field. Tip number 25: assume that possible risks are real. You have to progress with the mindset that your assumed risks and dangers are real. Some businesses fail at this and they begin to lax. If you do this, it is as though you are underestimating the risks involved. If you underestimate the risks, they might hit you hard when you expect it least and when you are least ready. Tip number 26: ponder on who will buy from you. One of the first steps to formulating a business plan is identifying your target customers. You need to identify select groups by category. These categories normally include age bracket, gender, marital status, and such. Tip number 27: devise plans on how to attract your target group. Once you identify your target group, it will be easier to devise a marketing and advertisement plan. Simply think of the thing that your target group likes. Think of what things will attract their attention. Tip number 28: know where your products, services will sell. Finding the correct location to do business is one of the most crucial parts of business planning. You may have the best product, the best employees, and the most amazing list of resources. But if your business location is wrong, everything could go wrong. Tip number 29: understand why your target customers want your products, services. This is one of the questions that you need to answer. What is it about your product that your customers want? Or what is it about your service offering that your customers want to avail? By understanding this, you will understand better how to reach your customers. Tip number 30: make sure you have suppliers. The suppliers of a business establishment are among its most valuable and most important asset. Whatever business you will be in, you need to make sure that you have good suppliers, those that you can rely. Tip number 31: make sure you have a backup source of financing. Most businesses have several sources of financing. What you want to avoid is relying on one source of financing only. You need to have several sources of financing, or at least, you should have reserves. Tip number 32: check the prices of different suppliers. Do not settle on the first few suppliers that you will find just because their prices seem attractive. You need to keep looking, because you might just find suppliers that offer lower prices. Tip number 33: check the reliability of your suppliers. Is your supplier showing any signs of financial trouble? Does your supplier seem to be going out of business? Does your supplier have a history of disappointing its clients? These are just some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. Tip number 34: do reassessment every now and then. You may have already found a supplier that offers an attractive price. But that does not mean that they will always be the cheapest. New suppliers may come along, and some of them may offer better prices and conditions than your current suppliers. Tip number 35: do not enter into transactions without a clear-cut agreement. The first thing you look for is prices. But you should not decide only according to that. You also need to check the conditions of your prospect suppliers. What are the terms of payment? What are the shipping, delivery arrangements? Will they pay for goods damaged on transit? These are just some of the questions that need an answer. Tip number 36: make a feasibility study. A feasibility study is typically done first by experienced entrepreneurs before venturing into any business. A good feasibility study allows its researcher to analyze the profitability of any planned business undertaking. It takes a look at risks, return on investment, plans for success, and such. Tip number 37: come up with an organizational plan. An organizational plan is crucial if your business will be composed of many employees, about 20 or so. An organizational plan shows the flow of command in from the top official to the bottom. Tip number 38: plan the flow of tasks well. Not just the chain of command, but the flow of task between employees must also be clearly stated. Tip number 39: make sure that job descriptions are clear and detailed. Confusions can take place if employees are not fully aware of their job description. They can start doing tasks that are assigned to another employee. They can neglect tasks that are supposed to be their responsibility. Tip number 40: make a draft of future plans. This will give you a sort of guide so that you have an idea on which path to take. This may include expansion plans, additional investment plans, branching plans, and such. Tip number 41: focus on your target customers. Advertisement can be costly. But you can save on advertisement cost by focusing only on your target customers. Tip number 42: know the trend of your target customers. A good advertisement catches the attention of its target customers. So how can you make your advertisement appeal to your target customers? First, you need to know their likes and the trends that they follow. Tip number 43: analyze how your target customers are exposed to media. Media can include the following: television, radio, internet, and other broadcasts. When making an advertisement plan, you need to know how your target customers are exposed to different media. Tip number 44: consider the unique culture of your target customers. Culture greatly affects the taste of people. Therefore, you need to consider the unique culture of your target customers when coming up with an advertisement plan. If you are offering services, products to foreign customers, you will need to do extensive research about their culture. Tip number 45: come up with promotional plans. Promotion is different from advertisement. You can use both to your advantage. Promotion is a strategy used by businesses to increase sales during select periods. Tip number 46: make an upsell. An upsell takes place when you offer a buying customer an additional product that is related to the product that she just bought. Tip number 47: do cross-selling. Cross-selling is almost the same in nature to an upsell. But in cross-selling, you're offering an additional product that is not related to the main product. You can increase sales by doing cross-selling. Tip number 48: offer freebies. It may sound like you are giving away things for nothing. But by offering freebies, you can effectively invite more customers. This is also a way to attract new customers and make them try your products, services. Tip number 49: use discounts wisely. Do not just offer discounts whenever you feel like it. Timing is crucial. For example, it is best to offer discounts during paydays and holidays when people have money to spend. Tip number 50: train salespeople. The sales team should be trained properly on delivering effective and persuasive sales pitch. Tip number 51: hire people that love what you do. You cannot dictate passion to your employees. Therefore, you need to find people that already have that passion. Tip number 52: put people where their passion is. Bigger companies may consist of several offices. When deciding on employee placement, it is best to put employees in their field of interest or field expertise. Tip number 53: hire experts to do applicant screening for you. It is true that you can never really tell how an employee will perform. But you can have a good idea during the screening of applicants. Tip number 54: make sure your employees appreciate your VMV. You employees are the ones who will embody the vision, mission, and goal of your company. Therefore, it is important that they appreciate your company's VMV. Tip number 55: delegate a qualified overseer. Overseers may include the following: managers, supervisors, section heads, etc. These people perform crucial tasks in your company. It is important that these people are highly qualified. Tip number 56: provide the basic and legal benefits. Your team will be more motivated if they know that they will receive the benefits which they are entitled to. When an employer fails to provide all these legal benefits, her employees will begin to lose trust to the company and will begin to lose motivation to work hard. Tip number 57: pay right and on time. Let us face it. Employees primarily work in order to earn. And when this basic driving factor is not provided properly, employees will begin to lose trust to the company. Tip number 58: be a role model. You cannot expect your employees to perform well if they cannot see you doing the same. To motivate your employees, you will have to be a role model to them. Tip number 59: have a motivational program. A little boost will help employees refresh their motivation. Motivational programs may include awarding the best employees, giving extra commission to achievers, and such. Tip number 60: hold team building sessions. Team building sessions allow employees together with their superiors to bond, share ideas, and have fun. This strengthens the inter-company relationship. Also, team building sessions help employees to feel that they are a part of a family. Tip number 61: follow the separate entity concept. In accounting, the separate entity concept refers to the clear-cut segregation of the owner's personal assets from her business investment. Tip number 62: return some of the earnings as additional investment. Net income is the part of the company's earnings that can be withdrawn. However, you may choose not to withdraw some of the net income and add it to the business capital account instead. Tip number 63: forget your wants first while your business is growing. Some entrepreneurs make the mistake of living a life of luxury just because their business did well during its first few weeks or months of operation. But this is a pitfall that must be avoided. Tip number 64: keep in mind that your investment can still go farther. Some entrepreneurs also make the mistake of being passively contented. This means that they lose all plans of making their business grow just because they are already earning. This might give you stable income, but if you want to earn more in the future, you must always set your mind to the growth of your business. Tip number 65: avoid excessive debts. Investment may come from a loan grant. But avoid incurring too many loan grants. Take note that loans come with high interest rates. You may not be able to shoulder several loans with high interest rates. Tip number 66: conduct a research about your competitor. This is one of the most basic strategies used by all business establishments when it comes to winning the competition. They conduct a study about their competitors. Tip number 67: observe the marketing strategies of your competitors. Marketing strategies include promotions, discount offers, freebie offers, advertisement methods, and such. To stay competitive, you must always do better than your competitor when it comes to marketing strategy. Tip number 68: always offer something more. If you always offer something that your competitor does not, customers will naturally prefer you. This can refer to anything. Tip number 69: win by quality and service if you cannot win by price. Just make your service better and make the quality of your products top-notch. Tip number 70: offer discount sales at the same time. When your competitor holds a discount sale, a lot of people, including some of your loyal customers, may come to them. This gives them the chance to show people what they can do. You do not want to give them this opportunity. Offer the same discount promo when they do. Tip number 71: make use of SEO. SEO refers to search engine optimization. If you have a website for your company, it will become more visible to users if it makes use of SEO techniques. With SEO, your website and web pages will more likely appear among the top 10 or even top 5 of Google search results when someone searches for a related keyword. Tip number 72: outsource the job to internet marketing professionals. Does SEO confuse you? Well, SEO really does include a lot of complicated and technical stuff. If you want to optimize your website, it is best that you hire an SEO professional to do it for you. Tip number 73: use Facebook. Facebook is used by millions of people worldwide. By using Facebook to advertise your products and/or services, you will be able to reach a lot of people. Tip number 74: use Twitter. Twitter allows its users to broadcast messages to thousands of followers in an instant. This makes Twitter a very powerful advertisement tool. Tip number 75: send offers and updates to old customers by email. You may ask buying customers their email address. This way, you will be able to send them newsletters every now and then. Tip number 76: avoid paying debts with debts. Debt comes with interest rates. By paying a debt with another debt, you will shoulder more interest rates. This is why it is not advisable that you pay a debt with another debt. Tip number 77: avoid having multiple debts. In an attempt to raise more funds, some entrepreneurs make the mistake of incurring too many debts. Doing so may be feasible at times, especially if the business undertaking is highly profitable and the risks are low. But for starting companies, debt must be kept at minimum. Tip number 78: look for loans with good conditions. Conditions that come with loans, e.g. interest rates, are not always the same from one loan provider to another. This is why it is advisable that you check the conditions of different loan providers and choose the one with the most attractive set of conditions. Tip number 79: use accounts receivables as debt payment. Debt does not always have to be paid in cash. Some loan providers are actually willing to give you financial assistance in exchange for your accounts receivables. Tip number 80: immediately pay debts with accruing interest. Debts normally have accruing interest rates. This means that interest payable will continue accumulating, while the debt is not yet paid. For such debts, it is not good to keep them unpaid for long periods of time. Tip number 81: plan early how you get the debt paid. Some young entrepreneurs only think about the amount of investment that they will be able to get from loans. This is wrong. Before you get a loan, you must first plan ahead how you will pay the debt. Tip number 82: set a contingency fund for absorbing debts. Many companies go bankrupt because of poorly managed debt accounts. One way to avoid this from happening is by having a contingency fund for absorbing losses from debt. Tip number 83: enroll to short business courses. You do not have to graduate. You only need to attend short business courses which can only include a few units. What you are after is not the diploma but the knowledge. This will give you an edge. Tip number 84: learn the basics of accounting. A huge part of business management is the accounting part. If you have even the basic knowledge about accounting, you will have a better idea about the flow of funds in your business. Tip number 85: enroll to short law courses. In conducting business, you will be dealing with legal matters as well. You will be making contracts, you will close deals, and you will also abide to business-related laws such as the payment of taxes. This is why it is important that you gain knowledge about business law. Tip number 86: read business books. Business books locally available in bookstores will also help you a lot. Tip number 87: stay updated on business-related news. This is particularly important if you are doing business in an industry that has a very fast-moving trend. You need to stay updated so you can react accordingly to changes. Tip number 88: learn how to predict movements in economy. Experienced entrepreneurs survive downfalls in economy because they predicted in such downfalls in advance. They are also able to take advantage of favorable situations because they predicted those favorable situations in advance. Tip number 89: get advice from experienced entrepreneurs. Many things in business cannot be taught inside the classroom. Some things are learned by experience. But you do not always have to experience them by yourself. You can simply ask experienced entrepreneurs in your field. Tip number 90: keep note of your experiences in business. Take note of the trends in your business. You will soon realize that changes and movements often follow a pattern. Familiarize yourself with these patterns and this will help you make better plans in the future. Tip number 91: have in local government programs. The local government of your place may hold public welfare programs once in a while. This may include health consciousness programs, cleanliness programs, additional employment programs, and such. Tip number 92: avoid comments on behalf of the company. You should avoid stating comments through your Facebook account, Twitter account, television advertisement, radio broadcast, and such. You should especially avoid commenting on controversial topics. Tip number 93: protect the rights of your employees. Your employees have rights that are protected by law. As an employer, there are certain rights that you are expected to protect. It is best that you do not neglect this. It will not do your public image any good if your employees complain about human rights violation. Tip number 94: be particular about environment protection. You must deal with your waste products appropriately. You must in no way cause pollution to the environment. If your business will cause pollution, you must find an appropriate location. Tip number 95: make donations once in a while. Anonymous donations are impressive. But that will kill the benefit. Yes, you want to help sincerely. But there is nothing wrong with being accredited for it. Make donations once in a while and improve your company's image. Tip number 96: follow government requirements. Legal requirements for businesses are different from place to place. Make sure that you are familiar with the business requirements in your area to avoid legal problems. You should do this before you start anything. Tip number 97: remit the correct taxes. The government has agents that regularly check the tax-paying activities of businesses. This is especially true for bigger businesses. Therefore, it is advisable that you avoid any tax evasion tactics. Tip number 98: pay the correct salary. Employees today are very particular about their salary. Unlike in the past, they are now quite aggressive when it comes to protecting their rights. Pay the correct amount and do it on time to keep your employees happy and motivated. Tip number 99: complete building requirements. There are building requirements that you must fulfill before you start operations. If you fail to do this early on, the government may impose penalties on your company or may even shut you down. Tip number 100: follow safety requirement. Safety requirements are imposed by local governments to businesses. Fire safety is common to all businesses. Food safety and sanitation, on the other hand, are strongly imposed on businesses that deal with food products. Follow all of these requirements to avoid legal problems.